All around the world there are tales of haunted castles full of terrifying and rich history, and it's time we talk about just a few. Here are the top 10 haunted castles that no one escaped. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Burg Eltz. This German castle dates back to 1157, so it's no surprise that there are many myths and legends surrounding it. The most common tale is that of a young countess named Agnes. Agnes was betrothed or promised to another noble, but after meeting him, she called off their future wedding. Apparently, this guy was just the worst, and also, even if he wasn't, no one could blame her for calling off a wedding that she didn't want to have. But of course, things quickly went awry. This noble guy was mad that she had rejected him, so the scorned lover laid siege to the castle. Agnes fought to defend her home, but she passed away during the battle. This is the story behind why her spirit is said to haunt the Burg Eltz castle, many saying the strongest presence is felt in her former bedroom. It is said that her spirit is quite mournful. Apparently, even her battle armor and axe remain on display as well. In our number 9 spot today, we have Houska Castle. According to folklore, the Houska Castle, which is located just north of Prague in the Czech Republic, is built over a bottomless hole that leads directly to hell. The legend claims that the 13th century King Ottokar II offered a pardon to any prisoner who agreed to be lowered into the pit in order to report what was down there. The first prisoner who was lowered into the pit only lasted 30 seconds before he started screaming. Legend goes that when he was brought back up, his hair had turned white and he had aged 30 years. He was also telling stories of half-human creatures that flew through the darkness with horrific wings. The castle was built over the hole without things like a water source or any kitchens, and it is said that this was because it wasn't actually meant to be used by humans, but rather a place to capture the demons should they rise from this mysterious hole. The castle can now be visited as a tourist attraction, but enter at your own risk. In our number 8 spot today, we have Edinburgh Castle. The Edinburgh Castle is located in Scotland, and while it is one of the most popular tourist attractions, it is also apparently extremely haunted. It is said that many years ago, a piper was sent down into the tunnels that are below the castle, which connect it to the Royal Mile. The piper was told to play his instrument while down there so that his progress throughout the tunnels could be tracked, but halfway through his journey, the music stopped. Sadly, the piper was never seen again. This had led to the story of the piper continuing to haunt certain areas of the castle. Apparently, he still roams around, and sometimes even faint music can be heard. There is also apparently a drummer who is said to haunt the castle as well, but he only appears when the castle is about to be attacked. Honestly, I didn't know before this that I wanted a guard ghost for myself. In our number 7 spot today, we have Bran Castle. This is a castle located in Transylvania that is often known as Dracula's Castle. This Romanian landmark is commonly referred to as the home of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and honestly, what could be more terrifying than Dracula? Well, perhaps the real person he is said to be inspired by, Vlad the Impaler, who is also said to have some sort of association with this castle. The building features beautiful articulate designs and vast staircases, but it is also said to be the home to the supernatural. Maybe it's just the lore and the legends surrounding this piece of historical architecture, or maybe there really is something more sinister going on here. In our number 6 spot today, we have Leap Castle. This castle sits in Ireland, and it was built somewhere between the 13th and the late 15th century. Legend has it that this castle has seen an unnerving amount of gruesome deaths, so it is no wonder it sits on a list of haunted castles. Story goes that during a struggle for power within the O'Carroll clan, who are said to at the time have been known for poisoning their dinner guests, one brother rammed a sword into another. This other brother was a priest, and at the time he was holding a mass in the chapel of the castle. The chapel is now called the Bloody Chapel, and it is rumored to be haunted by the priest. To make matters even worse, during renovations to the castle in the early 1900s, those working here ended up finding a secret dungeon below the chapel where they found a ton of human skeletons. The dungeon was designed in a way that prisoners would fall through a secret trapdoor where they would then fall onto wooden spikes on the ground, where they would then die a slow and painful death, but of course not without the members above them being able to hear this horrific happening. This is all to say that the rumors of the haunting make a lot of sense. In our number 5 spot today, we have Belcourt Castle. Belcourt Castle is located in Newport, Rhode Island, and it is a former summer cottage. Construction on the cottage started in 1891, with it being completed in 1894, and inside there is a ballroom. This ballroom is important because it is said that it holds a group of haunted chairs. People who have visited the castle have reported a ton of strange happenings regarding this very specific set of chairs. The reports include things like feeling chills racing up and down their spines, or feeling a strange sensation and a shift of energy while standing near the chairs, and some people have even explained how they have been pushed out of the chairs by an invisible force. I feel like just hearing these stories might be enough to explain the energy shift that some people are feeling, but actually being pushed out of the chair by some sort of force would be absolutely terrifying. In our number 4 spot today, we have Château de Brissac. This is a castle located in the Loire Valley in France. For years, people have shared stories about this castle, claiming that it is haunted. The most famous story has to deal with the castle's owner, Jacques de Brissac. One day, Jacques caught his wife Charlotte cheating on him with another man, which is said to have driven him to take both of their lives. Now it is said that the souls of Charlotte and her secret lover still haunt the castle to this day. People have reported seeing Charlotte wandering the halls, often wearing a green dress, and in the chapel of the castle. Legend goes that she had gone to the chapel to try and absolve herself of her sins, maybe in the hopes of not being trapped in the castle any longer. Here is the scariest part of this whole story though. I mean, aside from the killing, which is clearly the worst part. Her ghost is said to have no face, and instead is just 2 black big holes. This is why she is often referred to as the Lady in Green, or the Lady with no face. In our number 3 spot today, we have Voergaard Castle. This castle sits in Denmark, and it features the works of some of the most famous artists ever, such as Raphael, Goya, and El Greco. But while that is a fascinating reason why many people visit the castle today, there are some who visit the castle thanks to some gruesome stories of the past. The most famous of these dark stories is that of Ingeborg Skeel, who acquired the castle in 1578. Apparently, he quickly took the life of the architect who designed it so that he could never design another building quite as beautiful. It's a pretty insanely selfish reason to take someone's life. People today still report seeing the ghost of the architect around the castle, especially at night and dressed in white. People also report feeling an extremely chilling sensation in the castle as they pass one of the most famous of its dungeons. This room was designed so that a person wasn't able to stand up or lie down completely, and there were no holes for light or air either. Haunted or not, the cruelties of the past are bound to send a shiver down anyone's spine. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Palace of Versailles. In 1901, 2 women were wandering the gardens in Versailles trying to find Marie Antoinette's getaway when they found themselves lost. They ended up in front of an old farmhouse that had a really old plow sitting outside of it when they suddenly saw 2 men walk past them wearing long grayish coats with small 3-cornered hats. They could tell immediately that something was not right. They asked the men where to find the getaway, and the men told them to follow a path nearby that ended up taking them to a gazebo, where their bad feeling got even worse. They saw another man at the gazebo that gave them dirty looks, when someone else came running up to them, warning the woman that they were going the wrong way. This person explained to them that they should cross a bridge and then they'll find what they're looking for. The women entered a building when they saw a woman sitting and painting and wearing a very old-fashioned dress. Suddenly they heard a door slam and saw a man running towards them. Again, this man explained that the entrance that they were looking for was around the back of the building and led them to their real destination, where they met other tourists. When they finally got here, that bad feeling they had finally went away and they knew that they were safe. The woman then began discussing what they had seen because they were both pretty creeped out. It turns out that they didn't see the same things. One of the women said she never saw a woman painting. The 2 began to look at paintings of Marie Antoinette, only to realize that the woman the one saw painting was actually Marie herself. They later also found out that the old farmhouse and the plow that they had seen had been removed from the property in 1789. It seems like these 2 women were definitely seeing some ghosts from the past. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City is located in Beijing, China, and it has quite a reputation. This building used to be the Imperial Palace, but it is now a museum and it sees a ton of tourists every year. This building has quite a history of death, so it is truly not surprising that it may be haunted. Since the palace opened to the public in the 1940s, there have been a ton of reports of paranormal activity, mostly relating to a woman dressed in white. I know a lady dressed in white is a bit of a trope at this point, but it is always scary to think of. After After all, it's not like the ghost gets to decide its outfit. Anyway, apparently this lady strolls around the palace, but she is absolutely sobbing, which is very sad and quite eerie. I guess maybe it's better to encounter a sad ghost than an evil one though? At this point, I'm just not sure. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!